Hi, just going to talk to you about the Lindholme Lakes Festival. Really enjoy the Lindholme Lakes Festival. I like going to Lindholme, but I don't get a chance to go there regularly. I get a chance maybe 2 or 3, 4 matches a year, and then an odd big event as well there, which I really enjoy. I wish I could go more often, but I always tend to go all over the place for all different events. So when they have the festival on, it's a real excuse for me to go because I absolutely love it there. Last year I was really fortunate. I managed to win the festival, so part of me wanted to go back and try and do it again, but it's always going to be difficult. You've got world champions there, you've got England internationals there, you've got absolutely fantastic anglers who go there all the time and really do well there, so it's always going to be difficult. There was 45 on the festival, which is a nice turnout, and there was a decent payout. So I think my plan at the start of the week was just try and get in the main frame. If I could get in the main frame, which was the top 8, I'd be really happy. So I started off on Monday on Laurels. Now, Laurels is an interesting lake. If you ever get a chance to fish on Laurels, it's about 5-6 foot deep. What you find is that you haven't got much shallower water in the margins, and as a result, because F1s are primarily the target, you tend to need to catch shallow in order to do any good, and the fish will naturally come shallow. So you have to think about your approach in order to catch shallow. I haven't found pellets have been as effective last week or so. I don't know what it is, but I think the fish have been trying to spawn and not, and for whatever reason they're not comfortably eating pellets. So I'm finding that worms and casters and baits like that have been a bit better. So one of my plans was to fish casters shallow. I would fish some ground bait and maggots in the edge where it was a little bit shallow. I was on peg 33, which is a good peg. But it was tough. It wasn't a brilliant match. I just nicked odd fish all day. I couldn't really catch anything on the bottom with worms or pellets or cord or anything. But I just kept nicking an odd fish shallow here and there. And then I had a nice little run of 10 big F1s and a small carp down the edge right towards the end, £73, and won the section. So it's a great start. It's on section points, so you're only ever fishing to win your section every day. You don't fish to try and win the match every day because all the main money is paid out in the top 8, so you fish to try and win your section. Day 2 I was on Benny's. Now Benny's is an interesting lake if you've been there. He stocked it full of small F1s. You're guaranteed a load of bites. I really enjoyed Benny's. When I first heard about it, the thought of going on it really didn't appeal to me. And then I went on it and I really enjoyed it. I find you need to fish nicely. You need to fish thinking about what's happening. You've got to keep the fish coming. And it's something that I really enjoy. And I feel like I'm catching a few fish. I've got quite a nice record on Benny's. I drew 39, which is along the back straight. It's not usually the best area, if I'm being honest, that back straight. But again, you're just trying to win your section. So, all you've got to do is target those fish to, target those around you. They're the ones you're trying to beat. And I caught a lot of fish, probably in excess of 250 fish. Fishing short with pellets, it's my way I like to do it. You can catch them shallow. I like to fish short, 4-5 metres. And what I like to do is I like to get some micros and put a bit of water on them so I make it into little balls. For me, those little balls go straight down to the bottom, and that's where I'm trying to catch the fish on the bottom. You can put your rig straight in and then target those fish on the bottom. The key is to make sure you come back with the fish, not to miss too many bites, and get into a bit of a rhythm. Learn what's happening. Follow the fish with the toe. Push a little bit further out when you need to. You don't have to be the quickest angler in the world to catch a lot of fish. But I really enjoyed it. I ended up having, like I say, well over 250. I lost count into the hundreds, but I know I kept catching the same. So and I had £126 and won the section. So a great start, 2 wins. I couldn't moan at that at all. Wednesday was interesting. Wednesday really was interesting. On Bonsai. That's usually a pellet lake for me. I just think pellets and corn dominate Bonsai. But again, in the last few weeks, they've not been working. And I was proved right this time. Started on pellets because I had to start on them. I thought, I've got to give myself a chance to catch on them because I know that the fish in this lake eat them. But within 20 minutes, I knew it was wrong. And I changed to worms. Caught a few fish. but it was going from me, and I was foul looking fish, and there was a lot of fish in the area. I was on peg 63. I've tried fishing a method which has been working on there. Couldn't catch anything. Literally couldn't catch a fish on a method. I never had a fish on a rod and line. You know, it was terrible. I couldn't catch on a bomb. I ended up coming back to sort of 7 metres and just fishing with worms and casters and catching something. I had lots of nice tench, skimmers, some massive F1s. I had 3 or 4 around the £4 mark. And I really enjoyed my day's fishing. The only thing that was frustrating is I lost a lot of fish. I definitely lost £80 off the hook, which probably sounds astonishing. And it's nothing that I mean, I can count, I can barely count a fish losing a fish on bonsai. I usually hook a fish and they come in, no problem. But it's because the fish aren't feeding properly. They're coming in to investigate your bait. They're rooting around in and amongst your bait, not really eating it and swimming off. And that pulls your float under quickly. You strike and you hook them in the side, and you know, so you're not hooking them in the right place. So what you got to try and do is be patient, read your bites a little bit more. I took a shot off, so I had a lot of bristles showing, so it would like whoosh under, that's a bite, and then I would be on and I could ship my fish back and go from there. And in the end, I got it together and I had £113, which just snuck second in the section. Dave Shires won the section. He had £135 on 74, which when they're there, it's a nice peg. He's had 50 carp. I would have really struggled to beat him from there. I've had the fish on to do it, but they're foul hooked, a lot of them. So I feel that with a few changes, learning a bit, changing, giving myself a bit more bristle, tweaking my feed here and there, I could have possibly had that. I'd be wrong to say that I couldn't have done. So, you know, I ended up second, in my section, which, when you consider it's your best 4 results and dropping a result, second's still a great result, no doubt about it. If you ended up dropping that, then it'd be a super brilliant week. So, you know, I thought, well, that's not, you know, I can't complain about that. I went into Thursday, Loco. Loco is a really nice lake, actually. It's very deep, loads of fish, skimmers, barbel, F1s, but some monster carp. I started off on worms, learnt from the previous few days. I thought I'm definitely going with it with worms, and I had an incredible start. For an hour and a half, I absolutely emptied it on worms. Skimmers, mainly skimmers. I had 2 or 3 small F1s, but I was catching one every single chuck in, and one of the best hour and a half fishing I've had in a long, long time. It was fantastic, and I put them all in one net, and I thought, well, they're going well. And then after an hour and a half, it was like the light turned off. I couldn't get a bite there. Foul looked 1 or 2, but just couldn't put them together. Really disappointing. Tried next to the reeds, couldn't catch there. I was on peg 22, which is in a bit of a corner. And all the time, young Les Marshall was next to me. Good angler is Les. You know, there's a lot of young good anglers that go to Lindholme, and Les is definitely one of the elite. And he was fishing a really tidy match on pellets, on a waggler, on a bomb, and he'd had some big carp. He'd had 2 for £25, he'd had 2 or 3 smaller ones, and I knew I was in trouble. Knew I had to catch some carp. So I went looking for carp. I couldn't really catch one, nicked a couple of F1s, and then I had a big carp, a really big carp on the waggler. It ended up weighing £15, 15 ounces, which was a really big fish. Turned out that one biggest fish of the week, which was nice, little bonus. But that really brought me back in it. You know, I felt I was really behind, but that big carp, I thought, well, that's probably wiped out 2 or 3 of the smaller carp that Les has got. And then but he'd had 2 big ones himself. I nicked another carp, probably about 7 or 8 pound, and then I had 1 more down the edge. All the time, kept trying the worms, and it never came back. So ended up with sort of 5 F1s and 3 carp in one net, and my silverfish in the other. And I thought, well, you know, if I've got 50, 60 pound, that'll be good. But I felt Les had 70 plus. I think Les thought he would beat me as well. Carp went 41 pound, and the silvers, which was astonishing, went 36 pound. That shows how solid it was. It really was solid. If it had stayed like that, I'd have never come off it, because you'd have caught a really big weight of silverfish. But it goes to show, sometimes it can be right to target those fish in the right situations. So my fish went £78 1 ounce, which Les had landed a carp after time, but I thought, well, I must have, he's probably got more than we think, and because we felt he was so far ahead. But I don't really think he realised how many silverfish I'd had. Anyway, for a twist of fate, Les weighed £78 1 ounce, so we tied for a section win. So that was a good result for both of us because we both had a win on the board. But, a bit of luck for me that it was a tie. Bit of luck for Les, landed a carp after the whistle. He's also lost a carp during the match. This is how things swing in match fishing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. You just have to get the best of your peg, and then hopefully you'll be in a position where the results go for you. So it did. That meant going into the last day, 3 wins in a second. Needed a win last day to give me the perfect 4 wins, so I was really hoping for a result. Drew 25 on Laurels. Nice peg, I can't moan at that. A really nice peg on Laurels. But Laurels had really switched off. It was like there wasn't anything to be caught, which was really strange. So for 2 hours, I managed to catch 2 carp shallow. Big carp they were, 2 for about 22, 23 pound. Put me well in the lead in my section, these 2 big carp, but nothing was being caught. Absolutely nothing. I thought we were going to be in for a diabolical day. And then things just started to get better. There was odd fish being caught. All of a sudden I noticed people were catching a few fish here and there. And I started to catch some fish how I caught them on Monday with casters shallow. Had another couple of carp and I had a run of F1s. Really nice net of fish together. Again, casters shallow. Just a tip on there, if you're going on there, casters work really well when the silverfish aren't a problem. As it gets warmer and the summer goes on, it's going to be pellets. So don't just be thinking you can go there and fish casters, because I'm telling you, once the silverfish feed, casters are a waste of time. But at the moment, the silverfish aren't really having a feed on Laurels, therefore you can feed those casters and catch on F1s and carp, you see. Anyway, I finished with £101, which won the section. That gave me 4 section wins in a second, so you dropped your worst results, so I had the 4 wins. Was really pleased with that. Alan Scotton, though, took my title. He's had 5 wins, the perfect week. Little word on that performance. Really did do well. I think he won 2 of the matches. He fished well all week, and he also won the Whiteacres Festival a couple of weeks ago. So I think Alan deserves a mention for being on fire at the moment. Really, really fishing well. That pushed me in a second. I was happy with second. You cannot moan with second in that class of field, especially after winning it last year. Absolutely over the moon with that result. And it just goes to show adapting, changing to the situation, the right baits at the right time, the right species at the right time can get you results. So absolutely over the moon with that. Really, really happy. Got some more matches coming up as usual. But I hope you've enjoyed that. A little bit of information there. Take that away, and I hope that works for you, especially if you're going to Lindholme or any commercials you're going to recently. Anyway, catch up soon. Cheers. Bye.